After a couple of weeks away, Premier League football returns next Tuesday as the Hammers take the trip up to Molineux to face Wolves, who are teetering but look pretty secure in safety as we enter the final few games of the Premier League season. Graham Potter will be looking to try and build on the momentum away from home that he's generated and glorify this pre-season into something moving on into the summer, into next season. Tonight, I'm joined by Chris, who is a Wolves fan, to give us a bit of insight on our opponent for next week. Firstly, Chris, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Pleased to be on. Good to see you.
Thank you very much indeed for being with me. So just give a bit of a rundown before we get cracking on Wolves' season as a whole. What were the expectations at the start, and have they probably not been fulfilled? And how are the fan base currently feeling? What's the season been like?
I think we went into this season with a bit of fear as a fan base, actually, because of we've obviously become a bit of a selling club, and you think over the past few years, Neves and Neto, and they all depart without really whoever the manager is at that time being given all those funds to then go and then improve the squad. I think a couple of years ago, Fosun, who owned Wolves, came out publicly and said that Wolves have to be kind of self-sustainable, so they have to sell to buy, and they can only buy if they sell, and what they make in transfers they can then spend. But outside of that, there's not going to be a huge amount. They have done bits outside of that, to be fair to them, but like they've not really been heavy in the transfer market, and because of that, I think we did go into it a bit fear. We've the last few windows we've lost our best players, and we have bought in replacements, but nowhere near the quality that's gone out.
Yeah. So do you feel there's been just a little bit of frustration with the fan base with, quality players leaving and that money not being reinvested as well, and probably reflecting on how you've done this season?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's quite regular, I was going to call it moaning, but probably a bit stronger than that, protests against the owners. It's never against the managers, really. Gary O'Neill, he was obviously in to start with. He did a brilliant job last season. Then in the summer, lost his best players and wasn't really given a lot to bolster. So we struggled. And again, even when the results started to go really bad, you're always going to get a few grumblings about the manager, but the majority is on the owners, and the majority was around the owners. And yeah, I think kind of as in certain areas, we knew, for example, at the back, we were so light. They didn't bolster it. We knew we needed a number 9. They didn't bolster it. So I don't think any Wolves fan went into this season with particularly high hopes.
Oh, right. Yeah, so obviously Gary O'Neill left. You've got Portuguese coach in now. So do you feel that like he's just going with what he's got, and it's more onus is going on the owners in terms of, if it's going wrong, the blame's going there more than tactically with the manager, would you say? Or do you think he probably takes some of the blame as well for an underwhelming season?
I think he's steadied the ship, and actually we have bought in a couple of players in January, not the summer, admittedly. I mean, we bought in the centre back Agbadu, and he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely brilliant. As a Wolves fan, you're already counting the deadlines until he gets sold. You know that's going to happen. You know that is imminent. He's very good. He's very good, and he's made a massive difference to us because I remember when we played Ipswich earlier in the season, Delap up top. I think Gary O'Neill said like he bullied us, and he did. He just was smashing people out of the way. Big, strong lad. We just couldn't cope with him physically. That wouldn't have happened if Agbadu was playing. He's a monster of a bloke. Real good in the air. Real big, strong, physical. He can play as well, to be fair to him, but he's made a massive impact. And I think the results have been, since the new managers come in, okay. They've still not been amazing, but I think as much as I did like Gary O'Neill, they had to make that change because we were just on a big kind of slippery slope, really, on the way down. And I felt for him because he got sacked really through no fault of his own, to be honest. It was just that the circumstances, we needed a new manager just to try and get that new manager bounced a little bit, which luckily we did.
Yeah, and I think that's the case sometimes when you look at Everton this season. They were on a slippery slope with Dyche, and right or wrong, people vilify and bringing Moyes in, and he's gone and he's elevated them to comfortable safety. So sometimes that's what's needed, and it's interesting with that whole Gary O'Neill thing. Because obviously, he's had a bit of a turbulent time in his managerial career. Everything that happened at Bournemouth, and then at Wolves, it seems like he's been a little bit unfortunate in what sort of hand he's been given. But I mean, you mentioned centre half. Obviously, we took Max Kilman off of you in the summer. Was that a big loss? I mean, that was 40 million quid we paid for him, and there was a lot of West Ham fans at the time that raised their eyebrows at the price tag that we paid for Kilman. But do you think that was a hole that needed filling and didn't get filled initially, or was he as crucial a player as the 40 million price tag suggests?
I mean, he was our captain, so he, from that perspective. But I'll be honest, I thought 40 million was a good deal. I did. He's a good player. He was good for us, and he has left the hole. But 40 million for a centre back who's kind of not international level, not kind of elite, like for me. And I think if you speak to most fans, they were quite happy with that price. I think it was. I don't think anybody was really saying, "Oh, we should have kept him." An offer that big, in a perfect world, we'd have liked to have kept him, but an offer that big, I think I can understand why he was sold, and I think it was the right thing to sell him. He has left the gap, and then we had, I can't remember his name. I think it's Tot. Yeah, it was Totti. Then as soon as we'd sold Kilman and we knew we were already light, we then didn't replace him, and then Totti, the other centre back, got injured. And it just left us. So we've had kind of Matt Doherty playing centre half for most of the season. We've had who else have we had? Joe Gomez has played there. Lamina played there before. So we've had to make do with. Dawson got injured as well. Obviously ex West Ham. So we've had to make do really. We've got a real makeshift kind of, and we wanted to play a back three, so it wasn't even like we had two centre backs. We needed three of them, and for the vast majority of the season, 2 out of the 3 have not been natural centre halves, which if you're doing that like at a low league, non-league level, that's fine. In the Premier League, that is recipe for disaster.
It is. I mean, you know yourself, you can put players in and you can try and make it work, but in a level of a Premier League, that's quite staggering. Having to do that for such a prolonged period of time. I mean, you mentioned Dawson. He was a player that was loved at West Ham. I loved him, Dawson, and we had a running joke on this show about how much I loved him, and he left. And was he sort of decent for a while and has sort of dropped into more of a sort of string like bench player lately as he sort of disintegrates?
I think that's a real fair evaluation. I absolutely loved him when he first came as well. He was a rock to start with. Head's absolutely everything. Will put his head where most people won't even put their foot. He's he is like a brave, commanding, good in the air, strong, and he's a leader as well. You can tell he's a big leader, vocal. He was brilliant when he first come in. I think now he's very much a squad player, really. At that level, I think he kind of did start to decline a little bit, unfortunately, and was out the team for. After look, I think he did pick up an injury and then struggled to regain his form. And again, I think it probably hasn't helped him that when he was then playing, he was playing alongside wingers and fullbacks and centre midfielders, which again at his age now, where he's lacking a bit of pace, and probably does want people that are naturals in that position around him. But all in all, I'm a fan of him as well, mate. I think he's good.
Yeah, you might say, I mean, we said at the time, a complete manager's dream in terms of the dedication that he had to it, and he became a real cult hero for us over our European years. So it's nice to see that for some time he had a good time at Wolves. Now, I mean, we can sit here and say Wolves are pretty much clear of relegation. Obviously, that's not the mindset that's going to be in that dressing room. It's going to be scrap for these points until it's mathematically safe in a similar position yourself with Wincanton, in terms of you don't want, for it to get in the player's head that, yeah, we're safe, don't worry about it. You know, let's make sure first. So I'm expecting a bit of a scrap on Tuesday. You've got Ipswich in the game after, so it's two teams in and around you in that area. So are you expecting to get it all shored up and done in these two games? Because they can be or will be quite scrappy, I think.
I think so. The two games before it as well have been Southampton and Everton. So this kind of block of four is quite a nice run of fixtures, really. And it's happened at a time where the others, like Southampton, haven't really been picking up those points either. So yeah, it's not, like you said, it's not mathematical. And you always just want it to be in your own hands. You never want to have to rely on results elsewhere. As a Wolves fan, we've had that before to stay in the Premier League. It was awful. I remember once before we had to rely on not just a defeat; they had to be defeated by X amount of goals, and like it didn't happen, and we went down. And it was it's an awful situation. So as long as it's in your own hands and you kind of can do it, and we, like you said, it should be there, but it's not yet. But we should. I mean, out of the two, if we can pick up 3 points out of the next two games, then you'd be happy with that, and you'd take that and kind of job done.
No, absolutely. And I see you join us in the chat. So Leslie, I hope you are well. Robert says you scored in most of your games. Now that's an interesting thing. I mean, it's been competitive. I can't remember. I do a Premier League show every week. I can't remember very many times Wolves have been battered or Wolves have, had their backsides handed to them in terms of a good, pummeling from a team. So I think it's just been very pragmatic in terms of keep it tight and score and, really narrow, tightly contested games. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think one of the big things I genuinely believe we've got a top class forward in Kuna. He is so good. Again, you're counting down the days till he's off. He will be. He signed a new contract, but that will be, I would imagine, the similar kind of contract that Neto signed, as in, look, we'll give you a pay rise now in January for the rest of the season and a gentleman's agreement. You can go in the summer. I'd be amazed if he's a Wolves player next season. He's suspended Tuesday night, and he got an extra game. Yeah, they give him an extra game ban. So that's a big boost for the Hammers. That is, because he's
was that off of the back of that moment of madness? He's
had two of them really. Like one where he one where he was literally kind of fighting a player at the end of the game, and the other then when he pulled the glasses off the Ipswich guy.
Yes, Christ,
and, So he has got that in him. He is a hothead, but there's no doubt he's an unbelievable player. Like he is, he's so good. And being honest, without him, not only are we nowhere near as exciting to watch, we are nowhere near as effective. With him playing, you do feel that like he's one of those players who can do it, pull something out of a hat, do something from nowhere, can be 30 yards out and beat a couple of players and get a shot off. Without him, we've not really got that. Probably our biggest threat without that is going to be Strand Larsen, the big target man. But it'll be different. Whereas Cunha is going to be in and around the box, he can do anything, pull a rabbit out of a hat. Larsen is going to be, he's a big target man, he's a big strong lad, and it'll be crosses into the box and getting off him and trying to get him to either get knockdowns or headers. And it's very different styles. I mean, together they're great, but yeah, when you're missing Cunha, it's a big ask for him.
Right, so you're going to expect some very direct football, get the ball onto the head of the target man. Fair enough.
I would imagine.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, let's see who else is joining us. Andy, hope you are well. Kent, Mike, hope you well. I think Kilman has been good for us. Yeah, we love Dawson, but lacks his pace. But lacks pace, had his best days. Yes, absolutely. Mike, I hope you've got your voice back after that singing you did on Saturday. Ready for our preview in a couple of days' time. I don't want no illness rubbish coming out. I expect to see you there on Monday, Mike. Hope you are well. Michael as well, thanks for joining us. The bottom three have looked done for a while. They have, and pretty much sums up the level of the Premier League this year. It's been pretty poor from the majority of the teams. But yeah, that Cunha suspension I actually forgot about, and that's a big blow for Wolves. And sort of, as you said, changes the dynamic of the way they play as well. So so that'll be one to keep an eye on. I mean, Potter, I'll tell you now, will go, and it won't be a part the bus entirely, but I mean it won't be all guns blazing attacking football. I can tell you that. It'll probably be a back 3 or 5. How have you coped in terms of breaking teams down who are going to come and we're going to try and defend and score one and keep hold of that lead? Have Wolves been similar in that way, or have they tried to be a little bit more open and attacking?
I was going to say I would not imagine this is going to be for a football purist, because it'll be two teams doing that. It's the way we've been as well. Try and be very resolute, robust. Like you said, we do score in most games, so we just try, and like you also said, we've not took too many absolute whackings either. So I'd imagine it would be fairly ugly, fairly grim. We won't be used to teams coming to Molineux and trying to sit back and try and almost catch us on the break, because of our defensive frailties we've had for most of the season. The vast majority of teams have come and had a real go at us, and we play like that. So two teams going like that will be it'd be interesting. Not necessarily pretty, but it'd be interesting.
Interesting might be one word of it. Whether it's worth the 8-hour round trip I'm going to do on Tuesday, we are going to find out. Going to find out. But yeah, it certainly won't be the most free-flowing and openly joyful game of football I think anyone will ever watch. But I've been to Molineux a few times. I've been to most of the grounds in the league, and I always pick Molineux out as one of the better atmospheres in the league. And I mean, there's some dreadful ones out there, but Wolves and Forest are two of the ones nearer the top. I hate the away end, I must admit. It goes on for about 16 million miles on there, but that's done on purpose. Have the sort of Molineux crowd been an impact this season? Because I've been there and it's changed and it's shifted, and the crowd have got behind them, and the whole dynamic of the game switches. So under the lights, the final push to survival, do you think that could play a part?
Yeah, they are a vocal group. They are really, really vocal. I think most people know coming to Molineux, you're going to get quite a fierce reception. They are quite a loud supporter group. What I will say, they can turn on Wolves quickly. They can, if things go kind of upset the apple cart a little bit. And again, they can be very vocal, so they do play a massive part. So when they're properly behind them, like you say, under the lights as well, it always seems to have a bigger impact. Then they can absolutely play a part without a doubt. I'd imagine it's most teams would consider it quite a difficult and potentially like hostile place to go.
Yeah, without a doubt. Robert says after us, you've got some points. Ipswich, we've got Spurs and Man United, so there's 6 points there straight off the bat. Less. I mean, to be fair, that's not a bad run of fixtures. If you said you've had Southampton and was it Everton?
Everton, yeah,
just gone, and you've got us, and then Ipswich.
Agree, yeah, agree.
A great run of fixtures to really maximise and capitalise and get it done, and mathematically get that peace of mind in the head of the fans. Right, I'm going to ask you a prediction before you go. Are you going to back a Wolves win? You've got to, surely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a horrible, disgusting 1-0 win.
And that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It wouldn't surprise me. We've been
from a set piece as well. Yeah, let's make it even. Let's make it even. Yeah, Agbadou header. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be ugly. But no, I mean we've actually been better away from home than at home, which would surprise many people. We've been dreadful at home recently, and our away forms actually kept us going. So from our point of view, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it's not going to be the most thrilling, I think, but hopefully it's intriguing. That Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Any final thoughts on Wolves and West Ham before I let you go?
No, just obviously there. I mean, we'll have training, so I won't be able to even be really keeping an eye on it. So I think two fairly evenly matched sides that are going to play fairly similar ways of football. I do think you've got more quality than we have. I do. I think if both teams are at their maximum, I'd expect a West Ham win. So always going to have to defend well, and but you're quite adamant that West Ham are going to come with quite a defensive attitude themselves. So it'll be interesting how that plays out, because like I said, it doesn't really happen at Molineux because of our frailties. Most teams come and have a proper pop at us. So it'll be interesting how it plays out.
Yeah, a proper pop, probably not. We might be a little bit more open. We've got Wan-Bissaka as a wing back, who is very much more a winger than a wing back. But apart from that, yeah, it will be hands on deck, and yeah, as you said, it'll be interesting to see that dynamic and how that plays out in that sense. I will save my prediction for our main preview. Now, Chris, I have this thing where I get in the head of Mike and I steal his prediction. So what we do is once someone says a prediction, you're not allowed, no one else is allowed to say it because that's boring. And I let everyone else go. Mike goes last, and I always nick his prediction. And I already know what he'll go for this game because I'm just in his head. But there we are. He'll go 2-1 West Ham, but he'll now change it for Monday night. So he'll try and put me off because he'll still be watching. He's not commenting, but he'll still be watching. But no, good luck on Saturday, and hopefully you can get Survivor with Wincanton as well, Chris. And thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Perfect. Thank you, mate. Good to see you.
Thank you. Oh, he's gone 1-1. He's gone 1-1. Wow. 2-1 or 1-1. Those are take a point. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think so.
What do I take a point? Probably, yeah, because I could just see an ugly 1-0. I can, I can see it before my eyes already. Well, Mike, you've shocked me for once. 1-0. There we are. From me, come on, your minds, and I'll see you soon right here on West. I'm Unofficial. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Cheers, bye.